Sweet spot.
All right, so I started the record. So just for the record, we're going to be going over what I call a bunker. People call them kill boxes, defensive positions, whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's what it does and why it's good. And then how to beat it is what we're here
All right.
for.
You need us defending, Kayla?
Yes, everybody that was mentioned. If I called your name out and said what unit, please do defender and bring out that unit.
Are we parking it up on? Well, are they parking it up on home point?
It doesn't matter wherever you go. I'm coming. You guys are going to set up the box. I'm just going to. Yeah, actually, it'd probably be easier if I come to you.
Yeah, defend.
You want me to shine you, Aramir? See,
Uh, I might need you in the second one. I didn't. So the reason why we have a lot of people here is because I didn't get confirmation until the last minute on some people. So I ended up getting about 3 more people to show up than I actually needed. But I do appreciate the support. When we go in, let's. I'm gonna go take a supply point. Actually, I'll leave you guys with it, and then we'll go over to the closest supply point to you.
Okay.
What's this for again?
We're going to be doing training on unit selection in general. Please don't forget to turn your range into melee mode.
Did it. Already there.
Thank you. So we're going to set up over here, and you're going to set up a bunker. So what I call a bunker, and some people call fortified positions. I've heard them called kill boxes, etc. So this is where the threat is coming from, where I am. So you'll set up your shield wall. Yep, that's good. Just keep the shield wall there. Put the pikes up. Let's do the Imperials first. I'll have the Fortebracios off to the side. Just stay off to the side, Mr. Fortebraccio. And so we got these Imperials here. Yep, nice and good. And we got that range back here. So I wish it wasn't quite this dark, but we're doing a dark video. So the point is if you can imagine that there is obstacles, for example, in a siege, walls. Most commonly, you're going to use this to defend a gate or a breach on a city or fort. So you'll notice if I were to come up here for me to attack from the front, I need to deal with both the pike and the shield wall. The whole point is to keep everything behind it safe. So maybe where this range is over here, I might put artillery down here. Whatever your artillery is, your shot callers will make that call. So you'll put them. You can put them here to aim that way. So this is the important thing. Now, why? One of the selection, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Imperial versus Fortebraccio debate, and why both of them have their place, and they're both really good units, and why you might want one over the other, and based on your play style and the needs of the shot caller. So for the benefit of the Imperials is obvious. They have that advance, and that advance is pretty much unstoppable. I don't really care about the formations now. I think everybody's played long enough to get that, and if not, you can go back and start at the beginning of the video and see that this is the gist of it. You're stopping the enemy from coming over there, and then you're keeping your range protected, so that range would be shooting the crap out of me. So if you have the Imperials, can you come over here and walk my unit, please? So the walk will pretty much knock down almost anything except for these guys when they're in that brace. It stops the walk. That's something that, and these guys, sorry, are the palace guards. And then you can pull them back. Nice job. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I'm going to go capture, after you heal up, I'm going to go capture that supply point, and then I'll bring it out. And actually, I'll just tell you, it's the same thing as the Shield Maidens in line formation. They will do the exact same thing. They'll completely stop it. They'll actually push them back a little bit. So that's 2 ways to stop it. So if I can get the Fortebracios in that line now, please. Set up as part of it. So the Imperials do not stop me from doing anything unless they're walking. So based on the cooldown and depending on if you went top line or bottom line, that's how long you're going to walk, how much space you're going to take up. The benefit of the Fortebracios is they don't stop. You have to knock them down or kill them for them to not stop their stoppability, I guess. Because if I were to go up there, you'll see I'll take a lot of damage. and I don't have any tanks, so I had to get that out quick. But the other, the weakness of the Forte is how long it takes to set up. So if the Forte will turn 90 degrees and defend from this position that I'm coming from now, you'll see that little time that it took him to defend and swap. That's enough to get a cab charge in, or get my sneak attack in, or whatever I got to do, my hero or whatever. Whereas, no matter what, if the Imperials are set up, see they're set up this way. If I'm coming to the side, you can immediately walk me now. So go ahead, and if you're the Imperials, if you don't mind, thank you. So immediately walking. Obviously in that formation, not ideal, but I ain't doing anything. Whatever I'm bringing this way is going to stop, unless, of course, it is the Palace Guards and or the Shield Maidens. But if you'll notice, the Shield Maidens and Palace Guards only stop them in a stationary position. So I can't, whatever I'm doing, it's still stopping me. So I personally, as a shot caller, prefer Forte Braccio, because Forte Braccio are a guaranteed stop from the front. And then that lets all fight, like, for example, there's going to be 3 heroes a minimum in what I call a bunker, right? Pikes, shields, and range. That allows these 3 heroes to make up the rest. If you're flanking over here, most heroes have some kind of ability to stop a cap charge. Actually, none of the weapons that are here do. But short sword, long sword, musket, longbow, all these things have bombs and they can stop most of a cap charge. And then one other thing I will quickly say about so I'm over here. Now, if you're the Forte Braccio, just go ahead and hit V. I know it sounds... See how quick that was?
Oh, Jesus.
That's why I like Forte Braccio, is because if you flank, just because you flank with the hero, you're already dead. Oh shit, I can't.
Yeah, my 40s are, yeah.
Yeah. So now go ahead and capture the capture point. Well done, by the way.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So I think that made my point really well. That's why I like the Forte Braccio. No matter what you do, the downside to the Imperials is that as soon as you've walked, they're useless. They're not useless, but they're virtually useless. Their damage is very weak comparatively, and they don't really. Their brace is pretty weak, even with the stun. That I'm not saying they're not a good unit, and they're a wonderful unit. So the only other thing that you would have to worry about is something coming from behind, and so I call it a back door. And that's basically, so I have a unit in the back. So I'll have that exact same grouping. I'll have Forte Braccio, I'll have shield walls, I'll have the range. And then behind the range, that's where I'll put my Imperial Spear Guards. And the reason why I want to put my Imperial Spear Guards there is I'm sorry, I said spear, I apologize. I mean pike. I'll put my Imperial Pike in the back, and it looks like they're doing nothing, but what they're really doing is, and this is more prevalent in field battles or village battles than it is city battles, but the Imperial Pike Guard, their weakness is that once they're done walking, they're not very useful. But they are a guaranteed, even if somebody brings the units that stop the walk, you are stopping them from advancing. So, and that's what you need in the back door, because if they are doing a heavy push from the back, you walk back there, and then that gives the other units time to swap so they can move. Gives time for the Forte Braccios to line up in the right way, 180 degrees or whatever it may be. Now, I say back door, but you still swing to the left and to the right. But so that's what it's there. It's to stop anything that happens. And then if the bunker needs to swap directions, they can. And then when we go back in here, we'll do that again. And we'll actually show the mechanic of doing it. And then I'll show points of attack on how to break it. And I guess that's really the bulk of this. And we'll go over some other unit selection ideas. So
I got a question regarding the bunker itself.
Okay, go ahead.
When creating the bunker, which shield is more ideal for it? Is it the Imperial Spears or the Stalwarts?
So that's actually an excellent question, and it's situational based on the map and the people playing it. So, and it also depends on the range. For example, muskets have very high penetration. They're going to bring all the damage you'll ever need. That's my favorite range to have in the back. I would put Pavis, which especially if you got double shot, I'd put those right on par with them, just because double shot is OP. So if I have those, then I don't need the extra damage from stalwarts. That's essentially what the difference between stalwarts and say Imperial Spear Guards is the damage. I prefer Imperial Spear Guards because they have the ability to heal on station. They also have a bigger shield, so they're going to block something further away. And when we go into breaking the bunker, that'll even show you why I like the combination of Fortebracios and Imperial Spear Guards over Imperial Pike and the Stalwarts.
Stalwarts.
Yes. So, where is she?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you've got your 4D set up, and we have Hussars charging them. Hussars obviously have unstoppable charge. So they will obviously not stop at 40s. But if I then hit V, will they then get the damage?
They will stop at 40s.
They well, depends. It depends on what your 40s got as far as their doctrines.
No,
and it
the 40 passive is stops all charges. If you charge into the Fortebraccio pikes, your charge stops.
Yes, but they're still going to they're going to impact their pike damage. The Hussars are still going to damage the pike, and they'll pretty much kill all of them, especially if they have that 40 doctrine. The 40%. For those that don't know, the doctrine I'm referring to is when charging, you take 40% less damage. So, and I don't know. I haven't tested it. This
Don't
is
40s have a stun on brace doctrine.
yes, they do, and I highly recommend
Yep.
it. Yes, they absolutely do.
Yeah, so wouldn't that stop the Hussar charge is what I'm asking.
It does not. Oh, sorry. These attacks.
I mean, I know it doesn't for Imp Pike with that stun brace, but I'm not sure about the 40.
Well, if I brought them in, we can run a test after this if you guys want.
I can go get mine. Stars.
Yeah, after this, we can do that at the end of the training, and then I'll put it in the comments of the training video.
From what I've seen, as long as you've got the 40s inside of a shield and the pikes are extended, and you're not like you don't have them at the very edge of the shield. Pretty much, you will hit the Hussars before the pikes can hit the 40s because they're going to hit the shields, sure, but the 40 pike is longer than the Hussar pike.
Okay. Yeah, we'll run some tests. I don't mind.
That's just what I've seen. It could be either way. I just forgot to hit 5.
Okay, that's fine.
I can suicide my Hussars to test.
Okay. So so how do you defeat this? So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a hero. You can do it with artillery just as easily. But so a longsword can do it. They'll come in there and use their that actually shimmer thing that you just did made it look cool.
It does look cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So fight 'em, man. Go fight them.
Oh, they're not taking damage. The longsword can come in with their shield charge and bust it up. The short sword can come in with belly flop. Musket can bomb. Longbow can bomb. There's a lot of ultimates. Glaive can actually do a pretty good job, but you gotta be a tank glaive to be able to survive the pokies. And that's actually why I like the Fortebracios, because a glaive that's not full tank will not be able to get his ult off into the Fortebracios if they're damage 40s, but they will be able to against the Imperials.
Mauls too.
Mauls as well. Yep, thank you.
Wouldn't Mauls be able to?
Yep. So that's how the key is you have to go. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put my unit here, and imagine that this is a door here, right? Or here's the edge of the door. So how do we break it? How do we bunker bust? So I'm going to have my unit over here. What I like to do is I do like to have walkers. Ideally 2 sets. Fortebracio, again, are perfectly fine. You do need 1 walker, though, because you're going to walk over them. So how I would do it is I would come in and bust it up to get them out of that situation. In other words, their bunker, so that they're not braced. Whether that, like I said, all the ways I mentioned, the heroes, artillery, that's the only way I really know to do it. is those. So I would send, usually you send a short sword in because they can throw their iron sides up and then come in here and belly flop. That pops them all out. And then immediately what I would do is these are imaginary walkers, Imperial Pike. They would come in and start walking in this direction that I'm facing now. It's not ideal. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to keep them, and you're not really going to do a lot of damage. You're keeping them from getting back up so that the troops behind filter in. And as soon as you go in and right, you're bringing your buddy Cav in and all that other stuff. The second Pike unit, did you make it out? Yeah, you did. The second Pike unit is either going to be Fort Brasio or another Walkers. You're actually going to turn to the left and brace. Now, if you need to walk to stop them from coming in behind all of our push, because once we push this down, we're going to run right straight through and get to that range. So as I'm walking it, I'm not attacking what's here with my hero. I'm going for those range. So if you imagine that these guys got knocked down with the belly flop, I sprint past, and maybe the last couple lines don't. So obviously I'd be on my horse. I would jump over it and bring in I have right now a charging unit with my Golden Girls, and then I would hit these range units. And then you just keep the other ones to watch your back. Kind of like the back door that I had mentioned before. It's kind of hard to do it without, and unfortunately, we can't build a map, so I can't do this in a siege. Does anybody have questions about how that works? So when you bunker bust, the best and the best bunker buster is a musket, because a musket can throw caltrops down first, which means all the units just take that much longer to get back into position. So your knockdown lasts longer. So that's bunker busting. That is how to break it up. No questions about that? All right. So then I want to go over some, I've gone over unit selection in regards to Imperials and Fortebraccios and why I prefer the Fortebraccios, because Fortebraccios are guaranteed damage. And why do I like the Imperial Spear Guards over the Stalwarts, which is probably an uncommon opinion. And look at this right here. We don't have any Stalwarts here, but when they have a lot more coverage. And also, if you look at how high their shields are, you're actually protecting so if I were to throw that bomb that I just spoke of, and I threw that bomb perfectly and landed it right at here, which would be perfect, it would knock out 3 rows. The problem is that third row of Pike, because of the way the radius works on the bomb, it would not hit that third row. So it would leave a whole extra row of the Pike standing up. That's why I prefer the big shields, is because the way they hold them, the range on the bomb will hit one less row of the Pike. Now, obviously, if a short sword or long sword, short sword maybe a little bit, but it hits the ground, so I wouldn't imagine that affects it. And long sword is going to power through to go as deep as they can anyway, so it doesn't affect them either way. But artillery and muskets and the longbow, probably not Maul, but maybe. Any questions? All right. So we're gonna go. Yeah, go ahead.
Mullane's posted a question in the chat.
Oh, okay.
In-game chat.
Could you just read it?
He said, "Couldn't the same effect be achieved without bracing the Stalwarts?"
Yes, but if you look at the way that they hold it, their shields are a little lower. And if you're not bracing, then Stalwarts are not Stalwarts. Then you definitely shouldn't bring the Stalwarts. You should have IPGs, because the IPGs have higher defense, more hit points, and the ability to heal on station. So if you're not bracing Stalwarts aren't worth using.
Is that heal passive?
No.
No, so it's later down the
yeah, and even if you have the Stalwarts with the heal doctrine, it's a 100 hit point a tick difference. The doctrine is 150. The veteran line, it's actually veteran bottom line on the Imperial Spear Guards. It's actually 250 a tick, so it's an extra 100 hit points, which doesn't seem like much, but that's 2,000 hit points every heal.
Is it beneficial to have to put both, to use that doctrine as well, or does the doctrine?
No, you cannot. You cannot. Otherwise, okay. I would. But good question though. I tried it. You can't put it on them. Now I don't know if you can go top line and put them on there, but I would rather have the bigger heel, the 250 versus the 150. That said,
Does the top,
yeah, go
does
ahead.
the top line add any type of benefit to?
I believe it's
Spear
just
Guard?
I believe it's just damage,
Okay.
which I wouldn't worry about because a shield wall is not there to damage. Exception, of course, stalwarts. Good questions. Do we have any other questions, or does anybody else want to see anything else before we move on to other unit selection?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The Imperial pikemen, if there is a Fortebraccio in front and they use the charge, the Fortebraccio stop them or not?
No, they do not. The Imperial walkers will walk over Fortebracios.
Okay.
Now, how effective is the shield bash into the spear guard versus the shield bash into the stalwarts?
So, are you asking? I'm going to repeat the question in my own words to make sure I understand it. Are you saying how does the shield bash, the passive shield bash, on the stalwarts compared to the Imperials?
No,
Okay.
Running, let's say, all right. So the shield bash is on the palace guards.
Okay.
How does the bunker stand up to, like, let's say you charge in from the side and there's something, let's say Fortebraccio's in there, which can't spin as fast as IPGs. How much more effective is that shield bash against the stalwarts versus its effectiveness against the spear guard?
Pretty comparable. I mean, the spear guard has a lot higher block. And here's the thing: is stalwarts are only good if you're if you defend from the front. As soon as you get from the side, they're a whole tier down compared to Imperial spear because they have less block. Technically a smaller shield. I don't know if that actually plays into the game, but they don't have the defensive stats. So, with the exception of front on, there is absolutely no reason to use stalwarts. And that's why I like, again, pairing when I'm talking unit selection, I prefer Fortebracios because Fortebracios are a guaranteed win from the front. And if you don't win, you're going to make them bleed enough to where you did your job. Same with and then if you add the stalwarts on it, yes, you'll actually be able to do a little bit more, but now you don't have any defense from the sides because you're both strong from the sides. Yes, you can rebrace the stalwarts from the side and micromanage them to a good effect, but that's just my preference. I prefer the long pike up front and then have the defense of the Imperial Spear Guards for me personally. I found the best success with. But you kind of hinted into where I was going with next when you had asked about, like, for example, the shield bash on Palace Guards. So the Palace Guards, which are the unit I had out the first time, the one that stopped the walk, that's actually a good way to supplement a bunker. So if you imagine you had that bunker, if you could please bring that ranged and kind of put it where I am now and at an angle. Kind of halfway inside the bunker, and then a little bit more of an angle out this way. Yeah, perfect. So if you imagine that is a Palace Guards, which are the short sword and shield unit I brought out first, and then boom, they go into their little brace stance. That is a marvelous, absolutely brilliant way to bolster a bunker. Because one of the weaknesses of a bunker, now if you imagine there's a castle wall here or a building or whatever, so this side is set. The way that you would come in is try to come in from the side. Well, you saw how well those guys do when they're in that little brace. They'll stop whatever you bring to it, or at least live through it, if in the case of a cav charge. And then you can come out of that brace with hitting the 2 button again, and it does more damage. So that is one of the ways that you can bolster or make a bunker even better. Another way is to have a second range unit, same thing. And then, of course, I had mentioned having the, when you have your bunker set up, and actually, let's go ahead and do that. Can you put the Fortebracios in and then go ahead and bring the range back to where they go? And then bring these Imperial Pike back behind the range? And this is what I use as an attack bunker because you can't be flanked from behind. Now, I prefer the Imperial Pike and dispersed, but there's nothing wrong with this formation just because it's better at angles. For example, if you had to go 90 degrees, you're covering a little bit more. But this is how I like it because from this angle and all these sides, you're safe. Because if you're getting attacked from here, they're coming from the side. That's what the Imperial Pikes do. They swing, the bunker stays, the range keeps shooting, the Pike will come over here. The Pike can go the other way and, of course, from behind. So if they do trying to do cav charges from behind. So that's kind of the advanced ways. That's pretty much everything there is to do about bunkers. I showed how to modify it, how to make them stronger. You can do 2 shields. For example, if you have a wide area. I highly recommend do not ever use line formation, with the exception of the Golden Girls, just because they have so many cool buffs when they do it. Line formation is because it's only 2 deep, which means everybody can get through it. So, let's go ahead and did you bring your Hussars?
Yes.
Okay, and you wanted to check Hussars versus Fortebraccio, is that right?
Also, I bring the monastic to test it.
Okay. Looks like you have your Hussars out now. Can we get these Fortebraccios up here where I'm at? Kind of aimed where the cav is. We'll put them bad boys in the square formation. And then if you want to charge them, I would get everybody else that's behind them out of the way.
Yeah.
In case they get hurt.
You want the shields in there too? Or
Honestly,
just the 40s?
you can confidently stand right behind mine. That's fine. You won't die.
Confidently stand right in front of them.
Not in front, Hat Man. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
Are we not using the shields?
No need right now. I don't think it's going to
don't
change
need
much.
I can pull my 40s if we want to see them after this.
I don't have stun on Brace, so they will hit us, but they're gonna die.
Yeah, see, they stop all charges.
They definitely did.
That was the big thing about Fortebraccios when they came out, is because the Hussars took a huge hit. You could not get them in a lot of places that you used to be able to because there would just be a 40 there.
Are those Hussars, are they max line?
Now, I do go ahead and leave those 40s
line
open. After you
with
heal
the
your 40s,
three-
bring them up, out.
So Hussars are stoppable with
Yeah.
40s.
Yes.
Basically.
And
And
A
then-
unlike,
game changer.
Well, they're not necessarily stoppable. Like they'll still run through. It's just they get deleted before they get to that point.
And like the imp pikes will stop them, but you're gonna lose half of both units.
Yeah,
with an
yeah,
imp
yeah.
pike
Unless you walk with your imp pikes.
I have the monastic now.
But like when you're holding a kill box or a gate like that, and you've just got the 40s, you want the pikes across the gate because then they just run through, they stop, they don't charge into anything anymore.
For example, if you want to pike walk winged hussars with Imperial pike guards, you need to have them in their circle formation. I know it sounds weird, but when they all walk, they walk in the same direction. They'll face the same direction, but they'll stay in a tighter formation.
Yep.
What I've been doing is I've been
That
They
walk.
don't die.
I've been walking on
Oh!
calves, and
Holy shit.
I have stun on brace on my.
Were those Hussars?
No,
No, monastic knights.
Oh, they got fucking shredded so much quicker.
I lost 3. I lost 3 to the monastics and 3 to the wings.
so as soon as you do this, I'm just going to show why I like the weaker, quote unquote, weaker ultimate on Pike. It's because I can go into 40s. Go ahead and brace them.
Yep.
That's why I like it.
What I've been doing against Cav, my IPGs, is I have the stun on brace doctrine on them, so I've been charging them, and then once they're done like their walk, you brace them, and then the Hussars get stunned for a second time.
Which makes your IPGs really good for an attack. If you're attacking somewhere, whereas 40s, if you block that gate, nothing's coming through.
Yep. So, just real quick, a couple of now that I'm out, the reason why I want to come out is I want to check make sure I don't miss a unit. So looking at the units, I'm only going to speak of purple and up because I'm talking about territory war. I really don't care about any of the others. And I'm going to just kind of stick with meta. I'm not going to go over Halberdier Sergeants. If you want to use them, you can. They're not meta. So you pick for what role you want to play. So obviously Pike is anti-cav, anti-charge role. And we've already talked about the 2 Pike that are meta. So I'm not going to talk about them. I've talked about the 2 shields. I'm not going to talk about those as well. So I'm going to talk about the other roles, which is gaining ground. So all cav, you have to consider double their units. So because they have a horse. I know it mechanically doesn't work that way, but it effectively works out that way, if you want to think of it that way. So, and that's why cav is so strong. One, it's mobile, and it can... it's really, the game is about putting ordnance on target. They have, even with, if half of those Fortebracios had been not braced, both those cav charges would have just went right through all of them. They might have got some kills or whatever, but, and the same with the walkers. Yes, it'll stop the charge, but all it takes is one hero bomb to knock a hole, and then bam, they're getting through. So that's why cav is strong. As far as cav to use, you can the Laos are pretty meta. The Winged Hussars are pretty meta. If you look at some of the other ones, they're not quite so meta, but they have their place. For example, Keshigs.
I still think Keshigs are meta. People just sleep on them.
I agree. I like them. I use them almost every territory war. I still like the Rattan Rangers as well, just because I like the flexibility. But if you're looking at if you have multiple golden cav to choose from, chances are you're not really having any problems with your unit selection. So I'm really going to focus on cav. You know the importance of cav. If you don't have a tier 5 cav, I highly recommend it. That's the most powerful unit in the game. It was the most powerful historically. Nobody bragged about how cool they were with the fucking flail. They said, hey, I'm a knight in shining armor, right? So I'm not going to go over the golden cav because that's I did it in my cav training. You can go back and review that video.
If you do get golden cav, it has to be leveled or it's basically useless.
I would say that elite, especially Hussars. Don't even bother bringing your Hussars to their 25 bottom line.
Hussars under level 24, like not having bottom line, will lose to a bracing of blue halberdiers.
Yeah. So going into the meta units. I talked about the Pike. I'm not going to go over them. I talked a little bit about the Palace Guards. I'm going to add a little bit to them because I'm going to start playing roles. So I showed you how they could play a role in bolstering a bunker. Again, when you're charging in, you can go in and use your first walk to do the bunker busting. That second unit, Palace Guards are a great choice for. The other thing is the other role that you'll play in territorial war is being on top of the wall. So when you're on top of the wall, what do you need? You need to put concentrated fire because if you can catch somebody coming up the ladder, you're going to get a quick kill. And you need to be able to either sustain yourself or be very mobile. And why do you need to do that? Is because trebs and range that are down below, artillery, etc. So any unit that can heal is a good unit for top of the wall. So that includes the Iron Reapers. It includes the Imperial Spear Guards. And even the doctrines with the other, what's it called? Spear units. The Epic Doctrine that gives you the heal, that's also good. Paladins are good. They have a heal. Technically, the IPGs have a heal if you go the wrong line, but no, don't do it. I think they have it. I don't know if they took it off when they did the update, but or maybe it's Javelin Sergeants I was thinking of. Not relevant. So wall unit, you want something that's sustainable, in other words, a heal, and that has operational density, in other words, anything with cover commander is usually a good choice as long as it's a traditional cover commander. For example, for walls, I would prefer Spear Sergeants over Stalwarts because if somebody's coming the wall, I can cover commander, get up there and put a lot of attack up right away. And they're more mobile. I would prefer Stalwarts over Spear Sergeants in every other role. I think I said Iron Reapers would be good. That's about it. You could use the Silidars. Those are also good.
Azaps.
Yeah, Azaps are good, but those are better in the offensive. So for those that don't know, Azaps are a unit that when it climbs the wall, it gets a boost. They also have this counterattack. I probably should make a whole video about AZEPs. I think they're probably one of the most slept on units in the game. I think they're very powerful. They just require a little bit of skill to use. So if you don't have them, that's something that's worth working for. If you do have them, I recommend getting good with them, because somebody who's really good with AZEPs can turn a battle really fucking fast. In fact, they can actually bunker bust technically by themselves if you're good with it and you run with some other things, depending on what hero you use.
You can walk a unit of AZEPs directly down the Forte Pikes, and you won't lose any of them until like 10, 20 seconds into the fight.
Yeah. See, as far as other units, Javs have their place. If you're thinking about it, then you probably aren't the Cav guy or the Jav guy. If you already have the Javs, you know, and you've worked on it. It's not something that, hey, you don't have a big passion for, don't bother. So going for, I'm going to talk about range. There's no good archers. I'm just going to say that right now. That's my opinion. Archers are great for siege, field, etc. But when everybody's bringing tier 4 and up, you're not doing enough damage fast enough. Even everybody wants to say, oh, well, what about Namkins? No, because bleed takes longer. Yes, you'll eventually kill them, but they've already done their damage. They were going to die anyway. So you want to put ordnance on target. You want that damage now. That's why I recommend Tercios or Imperials. Pavis, yes. And in certain situation, Kriegsrat. So Kriegsrat are wonderful, and if they had more ammo, they would be just as good as Imperials, in my opinion.
Now
Situationally.
you say in certain situations, you could say Kriegstrat. What are those certain situations?
Same as Javs, where you're hugging a supply point. Yep. So their big weakness is their ammo. Same with Javs, right? Javs can't sit there and hold a wall because they throw their Javs and then they're like, what do I do now?
Wouldn't Namcans be good for ladder rushing though, because they can't kick ladders when the bleed is affecting them?
Yes, but I would rather you bring a real unit like a Rattan Ranger for that minor role, or I would rather you use a siege. Why would I pick a unit that's weak except for one little thing when I could bring a real unit and fill that role with a siege equipment or rush up the ladder myself? You know what I mean?
You'll also probably have something like a Falconetti
or a longbow or a short bow or a musket. You know what I mean? I wouldn't pick a unit that's so niche role, and you're right, that would work, but it's such a niche role, I don't want that filling up a slot where I could have a real unit. But that's a good question, and I've had this debate probably 3 dozen times, this month. But that's my opinion, and you got your, whoever shot calling is going to do the call and do what the shot caller says. I'm just saying, if I'm ever shot calling, I'll never want anything blue, and I'll never want anything archer. As far as now, I did mention the Rattan Rangers. That is a good. I know technically it's crossbow, but I consider it kind of an archer unit. That actually is a good archer unit because one, it has the hit points, it has the mobility, and it has the same effect. It could still, like you said, put the bleed, poison, whatever you want to call it, on its target. To use
But it's only.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's only effective if you kite people in fielding. Like
no, you can do it. I do it all the time, especially in defense. In a city defense, because you can swing wherever the combat. Oh, they're coming up over here, no problem. Yes, you're not going to clear the battlefield with them, but whatever's already fighting there, you're there and you're supporting them. You're putting ordnance on target. You're hurting people. You can do whatever you want with your hero, but while your unit's doing pin cushions, and then you can go hit a supply point as you go over to the completely other side. So you can really affect the battlefield by swapping back and forth and answering where the pressure is. And then when needed, it's got for a range unit, it's got a lot of hit points, a lot of tank, and it does have a mediocre charge. The charge is trash. I'm not recommending it, but it is something that you can do. Like, hey, I need to, for example, how many times have you been in a territory where get somebody stop him, get on X? Your no other range is going to be able to charge to get in. So I personally do like them.
And they do have the capability of being melee for a little bit. They're not going to live. They're going to die. But you can kill things with their swords.
You just send them in, and then while you're going to the supply point to get out your other unit. So that's why if I'm going to use some kind of a range, that's what I'll do. Let's see. I talked about the top of the wall. I talked about paladins. Is there any other wall unit that I missed? I feel like there is.
I mean, it's Zerkers, but that's kind
Yeah.
of self-explanatory.
Yeah, Zerkers are good both attack and defense.
Good old
On the wall.
salad cutters.
Yeah, I did mention those. I thought if I didn't, I should have. You're right. Does anybody have questions about unit selection? More importantly, does anybody have something that I've missed or something that might be a little bit of different of opinion? Okay, well, that was quick. So, I highly recommend the best thing you can do if you want to go from, hey, I enjoy the game, I win more often than not, to, hey, I'm really fucking good at the game and I'm one of the people that people recognize, is bunkers and bunker busting. Anytime you see one, put it together, grab a couple people, and go to work. I like to do when I do sieging, I like to grab 2 or 3 people or a full group if you can, and then see what they're bringing. Whatever they're bringing, I try to complement it so that I can either set up a bunker or bunker bust. And you need to bunker bust and set up a bunker both in attack and defense. You still, even when you're attacking, you're going to still use bunkers. It's just going to be a mobile bunker. You might charge in and clear shit out, and then you're going to set up to hold a supply point, X, whatever, a home point, etc. That's all I got for training. Kala, did I cover pretty much everything you wanted?
Yes, thank you very much for doing it for me today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Is there any unit or any other questions that anybody may have?
I have an unrelated question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I see your doctrines on your palace cards?
Yes. Any other questions while I'm looking this up?
I want to try something.
Okay.
Okay.
Big, I like it.
I'm pretty similar, except
Wait,
I also have the Epic Sword Doctrine increase slashing damage by 7 increase blood.
Yeah, that's great. I'd probably, yeah, that's great.
Sucking the blood out of these guys.
What did you want to try?
Wait.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call the training unless somebody has another question, and then I'm going to do whatever, help CNAC out with whatever he wants to test. Any other questions or comments or anything?
Hope you have a good day.